Welcome, everybody, to Podcast Answers, the show where I help you start and grow your podcast, all while answering podcasting questions along the way. Today, we are going to be talking a little bit about staying consistent when your download numbers are low, because I know that that's a struggle for some people. It's a struggle for me. I know that when my download numbers are low, it makes it really hard to go about recording new things because it just doesn't feel like what you're doing is worth it. So today I have a few different topics and ideas and ways to kind of keep your podcast being consistent even when your download numbers are low. So let's go through some of that. Let's talk a little bit about that, how you can stay consistent even when your download numbers are low and not really what you think that they should be, which where are we getting this number in our head that we have to have thousands and millions and hundreds of thousands of millions of downloads to make what we're doing worth it? So the first thing that I'm going to say is reframe your metrics on what actually matters for you. Let's focus on depth, not breadth. One engaged listener is worth more than 100 passive listeners, right? If you have an engaged listener that you're actually connecting with and they're actually connecting with you and you guys are talking back and forth on a level that you're making it worth it for them, then that's going to be actually worth way more than 100 passive listeners. If they're just listening but not engaged, or they have you downloading automatically because, as we know, a lot of podcast apps, if you subscribe to a show, it's going to, at least for the first several times, it's going to download them automatically, even if you're not necessarily listening to them. And so you're just, at that point, you're a passive number. You're not actually even listening to, you're not actually even listening to the show. So that really isn't worth it for me as a podcaster to have you listening or having you as a download, because you're not actually listening. So it counts as a download, and that's great because that makes me think that you're listening. But if it's passive, it's not actually listening. So I would much rather have one engaged listener, one person who's actually going to put the time in and be able to do this, to be listening to what I'm talking about, than somebody who's passive and not even listening to me. The next thing you want to do is track different metrics. Comments, emails, social media, engagement, reviews, things that are not just the downloads. Those different metrics are going to help you to be able to stay clearly, these people are actually engaged. If I'm getting comments and emails from people that are listening or commenting on my social media posts, those are going to be engaged listeners, because they're people that are actually connecting with you and connecting with you as a person. So let's track our metrics just a little bit different. And also remember the math. If you help 50 people, that's 50 lives that you've impacted, 50 lives that you've impacted. And I always like to say, think about these numbers like this. If you had a room of 50 people or 100 people, Google that, an image of that amount of people. That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. And it seems like a lot in the room. But when you're just looking at them in numbers, 50 people doesn't feel like a whole lot. But if you actually have 50 bodies in front of you or 100 bodies in front of you, that's a lot of people who you are engaging and impacting with their lives. And remember, growth is slow too. Most of us successful podcasts took 1 to 2 years to really gain traction and build that momentum. And it really wasn't just our episodes that are causing us to gain traction. It's us going out there and busting our butt daily, hourly, sometimes engaging with people in Facebook communities where we're saying, hey, this, for me, I'm involved in a lot of Facebook communities about podcasting. I mean, that makes sense. I'm a podcaster, right? So I am engaged in a lot of Facebook communities. And guess what I do? What I don't do actually is I don't go out there and say, hey guys, listen to Podcast Answers. Listen to Podcast Answers. Listen to Podcast Answers, because that's going to get you kicked out of 99% of the Facebook groups. And the ones that it doesn't, you're probably not going to want to be involved in anyways, because there's no engagement there. Be helpful, be helpful, be helpful. And then if the time comes where somebody says, hey, how do I XYZ, you can say, hey, this is how I do it. And by the way, I do have an episode on this, and you can post a link to it. And most Facebook communities are going to be okay with that. So remember, it does take a lot of time, a lot of grind to get in there and do it. The next thing I'd say too is let's set process goals, not outcome goals. Commit to something that's more attainable, like the number of episodes, not downloads. Like publish weekly for, let's say, 3 months, or versus let's get 1,000 downloads. Let's think of something that's more obtainable by you, because it's a process that you can put in. You're in control of those processes. The I'm going to publish for weekly for 6 months, or I'm going to publish weekly for a year, or whatever. So those are things that you as the podcaster are in control of, not things outside of that. So control what you can control: quality, consistency, and showing up. Those are things that you can control. The number of downloads, you can't control that. You can't control that. The other thing that I would say too is celebrate small wins. Celebrate things like each episode published is a win, regardless of the numbers that you're downloading to, that having download. Each episode is a win. Build that habit. Consistency creates momentum. So again, if you're ever struggling getting into it because your download numbers are low, celebrate those things as wins, like publishing the next episode, staying consistent. I know for me, for the longest time, it was hard for me to be super consistent with this show. I would do it 1 week and then I'd miss 2 weeks and then I'd do it another week. And those are things that are going to make you lose audience numbers in general, because people are relying on you and building you into their lives. But once I sat down and created the win of publishing as well as consistency, I went ahead and said, hey, I'm going to sit down the beginning of the month or the end of the last month, and I'm going to go ahead and plan my episodes out. That for me has helped me be consistent. And so it's helped me find the motivation. The next thing you want to do too is also clarify your why. Write down why you started the podcasting anyways. Did you do it for the numbers? Did you do it for the fame? Or did you do it because you have a message that you want to get out? Hint, you are still succeeding, because if you did it for a message that you wanted to get out to people or teach people, you are doing that. As long as there is one person listening, you're getting your message out to those people. And so that is allowing you to remember your why. And enjoy the process too. If you don't love creating, reconsider your format. If it's something that you're struggling to do, maybe podcasting isn't for you. And I hate to say that, because I really do like podcasting, and I really do like how the medium allows me to create things as well as just explain the things that I do and teach people. But if you're not enjoying it, maybe this isn't for you. So also, I would say create for one person. Imagine your ideal listener and try to serve them. This a lot of times happens in marketing, where you create your customer, you create these personas where you say, okay, this is who we are and what we're doing for, and we're going to name it Jim. Jim is our ideal customer, XYZ. He's a podcaster and he's just learning. And so whatever. So create your persona, and you can even, if you want to take it as far as building a persona sheet out, where you have a picture that you grab from the internet, you name him Jim, and you explain who he is and what he does. Create for that one person. Or if you actually know of somebody who is actually listening to your show, think of them. Maybe even write their name down on a sticky and stick it right there. Well, not right in front of your camera, because then people can't see you, but right above your camera, right next to your camera, so that, or if you're doing video, or right next to your mic, or wherever it is that you can see Jim's name. So the reason that you're doing this is because of Jim. Jim is the one that you're reaching out to, right? Create that persona. Build some accountability too. Like, there are lots of podcasting communities that offer mutual support and encouragement. Like I said, I'm in several of them. There's a podcasters on Facebook group. There's a Christian podcasters group. There's groups for each of the podcast hosts. I'm in most of those. And so you can get into a group and help find some accountability. You can easily say something like, hey, I'm really struggling to get my episode out this week. I'm just not having the encouragement because, I'm just lacking the want to do this because I only have a few downloads. And people are more than willing to help you, jump on there and encourage you, listen to your show, tell you what you're doing great, and maybe even do tell you how you can improve. And along with that, find an accountability partner. Check in weekly with another creator. There's lots of different creator masterminds out there that allow you to chat with people and be accountable with them, and making sure that you each are holding each other accountable. So that way you can say, hey, Richard, I know that you're struggling this week with creating content because you're just having trouble getting out there and actually having the will to produce it because you don't have the numbers, but you're really doing great. Let's celebrate the wins. Let's get out there and do it. And I know for me, I don't have a podcast accountability partner, but I do know that I do have people in my life that when I am struggling with whatever it may be, that I can check in with them, and they usually are willing to give me encouragement and build me back up. The other thing that you can do too is batch record some of your content. I've talked about this before, and you can just sit down. Maybe let's say you create all of your content on the first Saturday of the month, because that's the time you got time. Your schedule is really busy, but you can take that one day or half a day or whatever it is, and come up with enough content that you can record, let's say 4 episodes, one for each week of the next upcoming month. Batch record that, because yes, creating content is fun, but sometimes the actual process of doing it can be a lot, because it is a lot for some people. And so what you can do is if you batch record that, you can easily stay out there and say, okay, I'm going to record this. Now I don't have to think about it for another month. I can just go ahead and actually engage with my audience, as opposed to having to create my content, edit my content, publish it, post to social media. Also engage with my customers, maintain that email list that we talked about in the last episode, things like that. So if you're batch recording, you can separate those out. So you can say, hey, the first Saturday of the month, I'm actually going to record all 4 episodes for this upcoming month. And then the next Saturday, I can go ahead and create my email sequences. I can go ahead and respond to the people that have emailed me over this past week. So it doesn't have to be a full-time job. You can separate out the tasks, and you can batch do those tasks, whatever works into your schedule. So you can definitely do that, as well as creating templates. One of the things that I've really found to be helpful for me is I create my show art, and it's different every time I have an episode. And so for me, what I do is I end up going back to the last point. I created a template that has the standard kind of art for me that I'm going to do. And there's just a few things that I change in it every time. That helps reduce the time that it takes me to do it. It helps reduce the friction as much as I can. So it helps me to do that. And then the other thing you can do is automate wherever possible too. So using automation tools, like one of the things that I like doing is and this is something that you can do too, is if you're trying to engage your audience throughout the month, not only engage it, but you can schedule all of your social media posts. If you look at Facebook, has business.facebook.com, where you can log in and you can schedule all of your posts. Almost all of the social media places have places that you can schedule posts out. Now, again, this isn't necessarily the engagement part that I'm talking about, but it is going to be, it's starting that engagement. You have to still respond to the people that are putting that in, but it allows you to automate where you can. And the great thing too is you can even automate your podcast. Again, if you're batch recording, you can schedule all of your posts out for those episodes. And so really, you could be done with your whole content production at the very beginning of the month if you really, really wanted to. Engage your existing audience too. So this helps too. Ask for feedback. Direct your interaction, direct interaction with you makes it feel worthwhile. I know a lot of times, like, that's some of the things that I've struggled with in my podcast is feedback sometimes, because people, it takes a while to get feedback, and I've asked for feedback and I don't always get feedback, but direct interaction makes it feel worthwhile. So if you can get that, and then also, again, engage with them and share your listener stories. So if people do contact you and have a story, whether they wrote in, you can, as long as they give you permission, you can share that on the show, either by reading that out, or if you if you have a voicemail line, or they send you a video file or whatever, you can just play that right on the show. And it's easy to get to get that community going. When you share that, people love hearing their own stories on your show, and they're willing to share your show with other people. So if your audience contacts you and says, hey, I want to, this is a story that I have that relates to what you were talking about, share that with your listeners. Share it, because when you share it, they're likely to share your podcast with other people because they know that they're on the podcast. So they're going to say, hey, everybody, I was on this podcast. Here's the link to it. Respond to your comments, build your relationships, not just an audience. Like that's, I think, one of the things that we have to remember as podcasters. And that's hard to remember sometimes because we are just sitting, talking namelessly, really out to the ether. Like I'm looking at a camera right now, but to me, I'm just sitting here with no one in my office. I'm talking. And so remember that you need to build a relationship. It is a relationship with people, not just an audience. You don't have an audience, just an audience. You have relationships. And so that's what the whole episode here that I've been talking about. I've been talking about building relationships with your listeners. And that means getting out there. That means responding to them. That means being where they're at. And remember to, you can take strategic breaks on your podcast. Now, again, if you're just starting your podcast out, I would say keep going for a long time, because if you don't do it starting out for a while and just being consistent on that, most podcasters quit by episode 7 or episode 10. If you can make it to the 20 plus, you're ahead of a majority of the people who are doing podcasts. And so at the very beginning, get out there and do it weekly. Build your routine. But it's okay to take breaks. It really is. And one of the ways that you can do this, you don't have to do seasons. There is a way to do seasons in podcasting hosting providers. And again, there's big debate on whether or not you should do seasons. I personally do seasons just because for me, it allows me to say, okay, my seasons normally last for 9 months and then, or 12, 11 months or whatever it is. And then I can take a break. There's strategic ways to do this. You need to talk to your audience and you need to say, hey, I'm going to be on break for 3 weeks, a month. So you won't hear me, but here's some of the things that you can do, and go back, check the other episodes. You can continue posting. You can schedule the posts out saying, hey, I'm on a break, but you can continue listening to some of my old content and giving them links to your old content. So it's not just like you disappeared for a month, but you can do that. You can schedule your breaks out, do 8 to 12 episodes, whatever, then take a break to rest and recharge or whatever it is that you're going to do. But again, communication is key because you are building relationships, not just an audience. And I don't know about you, but for me, if somebody just ghosts me and goes away, I'm going to question that relationship. So don't ghost your audience, your listeners, your relationships that you have. Make sure that you let them know what's happening. It's better to pause than quit entirely. So if you have to do that, if you're burning out, it is okay to do that. But definitely announce your breaks, let people know. Also, while you're taking a break, don't just veg out. Plan, learn, upgrade equipment, make your show better for when you do come back. So the other thing is you can remember, kind of have a mindset shift. And this is the last thing that I'm going to leave you with here on this episode. Mind shift is going to help you. Mindset shifts are going to help you. Think of things like, I'm building an asset here, not chasing the numbers. Think of, I'm helping out people with my content. My content is out here for whatever that may be, whether it's entertainment. My content is entertainment for people. My content is helping people podcast. My content is helping people be better parents. My content is whatever, XYZ, you name that. But remember that as opposed to just chasing numbers. And again, every number is somebody that's listening to you, whether it be 1, 100, 1,000, 1 million. It's people that are listening to you in lives that you are touching and changing. Also remember, consistency beats perfection. You don't have to be perfect in every episode. There are people love blooper reels. I don't know about you, but I love seeing blooper reels for movies and for things like that. It's fun to see these people who you are watching mess up sometimes, right? Again, it's good to try to strive to be better at your craft and do better, but even the professionals mess up sometimes. So remember, as you amateur podcaster start your show and do your show, you are going to mess up. So just be consistent. It's going to be perfection every time. And also try to just remember and get better every episode. Every episode is a time to get better. Listen to your episodes. Figure out what you decide that you want to improve, and then do that for the next episode. It's all about mind shift, and you can do it. You can do it, guys. You can do it. So these are a few different things that you can do to help staying consistent when your download numbers are low. And that can be anytime. You could have 1,000 downloads now, and then the next time your episodes tank and don't do so good. Just these are some things. Again, go back over them, listen to this again and again and again, and help. Remember, you are impacting people by your podcast. Your podcast is impacting people. It is. So, guys, get out there and keep podcasting.